Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Celtic Connections. Tonight, we are going to continue our series talking about what goes into making a play. Last week, we spoke to Fortunato Pezzamenti, our director of C-Marks, who gave a lot of great insight on the directing process. And tonight, I'm really excited to bring to you our conversation with our resident sound designer, Tom Makar. Tom Makar is our only resident designer, and resident means that he is part of the company and he has been designing for Irish Classical for a very long time. He has a lot of experience designing for Irish Classical, but he also designs all over Western New York for different theaters, and he has also been seen on stages as well, so you might recognize him. So let's begin our conversation with Tom. Hello, Tom. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Kate.
Hi. So we're just going to jump in and just orient the patrons to the idea of sound design. The other design aspects, you and I have had this conversation, we can see them and we can identify them and know that they're there, but sound design is a little bit different. It's a little more about feeling it. Could you tell us a little bit about what goes into sound design?
Well, first of all, the definition of sound design, which is right in the name, it's the sounds you hear during any production, and that would involve sound effects and music. Basically, that's usually what sound design is. That's my responsibility. The sound effects could be something that we call a sound effect that plays out: a gunshot, a dog barks, the door slams, a car horn, we hear a car horn, or they could be something longer, like an atmospheric effect. It's raining, or there's a big storm, or it's nighttime in the country, or it's morning and we hear the morning birds, those sort of longer sort of things to set the tone. And then we talk about music that I would be responsible for. I choose the music that for each production, or I write the music if I can't find one.
Yeah. You do quite a lot of composing. Do you think it's like in equal measure writing and finding music, or which one do you prefer more?
I prefer the right piece of music for the show. I have to say, years ago, I tried to write all the music, and it was driving me crazy. It just creating on the fly.
Yeah.
With the resources that I have now, I can, with my studio, which I've invested quite a bit of money a long time ago, I can produce orchestral effects, all different sorts of that seem to be live instruments that are done in my studio by myself, not actually playing them, but creating music on a keyboard that sounds as if it was played by a string quartet or even a big orchestra. But it got to the point where I accepted the fact that someone else did it better. What I wanted, if I couldn't achieve it, and I would explore other people's music, which also meant Frankensteining. Like I might listen to a 10-minute piece of music and use 1 minute from one section and 10 seconds from another, or edit it to fit the production, because the music has to fit the production. Now, what that means is the music there is music that you hear before the show. We call it pre-show. That's theoretically to set the mood, get the audience get them into the feel of what they see, what they're going to see. That could be a period. That could be establishing period, if necessary. We've done a lot of, Victorian, Edwardian plays. That could be one of the things that really sets the mood. I've used music boxes because that's a very Victorian sound. In the lobby and in the theater as you're waiting for the show to start. And then the music that takes us into the show, the music that we have between scenes, which should keep the audience's interest and keep us into the play while a scene change is being done. whatever, as quickly as the people can do the scene change, but still, so the audience doesn't get distracted, but actually stays into the mood of the play. And then the sort of thing, the finales of the acts that give you a sense of resolution.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's something called underscoring, which is music that is under speaking usually, and is meant to further enhance the theatrical experience without imposing itself, but rather giving the actors another, besides the lighting and the costumes, a sound that they're part of,
Right.
as they're speaking.
Yeah.
The trick about that is not to tell the audience how to feel, but rather that should come from the actors. So in a soap opera or that sort of thing, or in 30s mysteries, it's pretty heavy-handed.
Yeah.
We try to definitely avoid that in live theater. But but in live theater, it's different than something you see in film. The sounds you hear are things that you probably don't see almost all the time, unless it's the phone ringing, or it's probably something that you don't see. So it is tricky with sound effects I'm talking about, to make sure that it's not that the audience isn't distracted by it by saying, well, what could that be? It has to be exactly recognizable, which is a big trick of sound design. And the sense of it has to be right. The dog might be angry. The dog might be friendly, just as a very big generalization. But besides that, you should, whatever you hear, you have to recognize the right way. It took me quite a while to get the perfect sounds of rain, say. That doesn't sound like someone crackling cellophane, or, at a very low level, exactly instantly that, oh, it's raining outside is the sense we're trying to do. And then at the specifically though for the Andrews, sound design gets into sound technology, because I actually advised the administration of what should be purchased and how it should be mounted, how the speakers, there are speakers on the 4 compass points at the Andrews Theater that we started with. And then there are speakers in the lobby for people to hear the pre-show and that sort of thing. But we've also placed speakers on the stage for sounds that should seem like they're coming right from the environment that the actors are within. Radios, usually, that sort of thing, the fireplace. Of course, we had some very chilling, bubbling oil
From Beauty Queen? Yeah.
Stage, that sort of thing, with speakers on stage, and telephones ringing and that sort of thing.
I love when there's the dichotomy of like an old-timey Victrola, with a Bluetooth speaker underneath, hidden away.
Right.
And those are things that our patrons may not know, because you don't see any wires or anything. But
we don't want to spoil the illusion, though.
You need the illusion, absolutely. And you are such an accomplished sound designer. I love your sound design. And from 2 different points, I can really speak to its effectiveness. As an audience member, I can't tell you the amount of times I've been sitting at the Andrews and feeling something evoked during the scene, only to realize that it's a piece of music that I didn't even know was playing. And then all of a sudden my ears kind of tune into it and realize that it was there about the entire time. And it has really served to enhance the atmosphere, the mood of the piece. And then secondly, from the stage, I can't tell you the amount of times that you've created or brought in an incredible piece of music that has really buoyed the scene and enhances it. And then you almost feel like you're in a dance or in a musical, if that makes sense, that the music is really enhancing the mood. And that is just incredible for a performer to feel that during a performance. So I think you're so successful in those ways. You spoke a little bit about the difference between live theater and something recorded, and now we are moving into a little bit of a hybrid of both. Would you speak a little bit to the aspect of designing sound design for CMARCs, but knowing that a lot of the sounds will be played afterwards for the editing purposes?
Yeah, well, we're behind the scenes again. We're pulling back the curtain to see the ugly underside. Yeah. But actually, for CMARCs, now that it's a definite and rehearsals are starting, and I've already done a lot of work on the sound design. I actually have, because I have no other work, I've spent weeks now working on an entire production. Wow. I love the writing. It's just poetic. It's just it's beautiful to just listen, and it's, you know, just with the two actors, the sense of isolation and each of their stories, but then the romance, the sense of it's a love story. I mean, I think say that without having a spoiler alert.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Two different worlds coming together and so, but for this particular production, I'm using a lot of people of Irish origin will recognize a lot of the melodies they're hearing. I would say, and I'm talking to the director, Fortune Pessamenti, the general tone of the music that I'm using, and I have found music for this, I would say gentle, for the most part.
Gentle, did you say?
Gentle, yes. It's done on Celtic harp, a lot of music on Celtic harp, hammered dulcimer, and then flute and we call it fiddle, violin music. And there's a lot of underscoring on this particular piece, because without, once again, no spoiler, there are letters back and forth before there's a face-to-face meeting. So there's the development of the relationship between the two actors is what I'm trying to, the sense of how that grows. There's also the sense of this is an isolated island. He's a fisherman, so creating that world, and I think I'm pretty happy with. I'm surprised. I have time to appreciate what I'm working on and play with it quite a bit, and the sense of this small island and the sea and the wind that is just in his blood. That's you know that is his world. And then I don't want to tell you any more about what happens, because it should be, but there are other senses that happen later.
Yes, there are.
Just say, we're not on the island.
Yes, yes.
So yeah, I've been working on it quite a bit, and like I said, I love this piece.
Oh yeah.
What you were saying before, it's tricky because I don't want to define the actors, what the mood, the emotion that they're trying to do. I just want to give them a place to do it in, just like the lighting and the costume. It's just part of it, and something that is always the rule, which is why people do not understand sound design or even notice it sometimes. It's because it should feel like it came with the script. It should feel like, well, of course that's what's going on, right? Of course that's the music under that. It must have come with the script, but that's my job, is to make it feel like you notice it, but you don't notice it. You notice it, like you were saying, notice the sense of it, but it shouldn't draw you out of the play. It should keep you, it should make you even more involved in the experience of the play, whatever the play is, but especially with CMARCs.
Absolutely. I imagine in CMARCs too, it's the most important thing is keeping the atmosphere, you know, and because it is almost like the play itself is almost like a folk tale. So, or like so it should have that sort of like organic feel to it. And I've heard some of the samples already, and patrons are really in for a treat with your sound design for this one. So thank you for
it's lovely. The play is lovely, and the
yeah.
music is just this lovely. It's just some of the most beautiful music on one instrument usually, or just a couple of instruments, and it's just a nice experience.
Great. We could all use a nice experience now and again. This day and age, yeah. Which is another reason why we chose the play, is because it's uplifting and it's romantic, and yeah, it kind of sweeps you away in this lyrical, beautiful Irish sense. So looking forward to hearing more of it. So I have one more question before we sign off for this evening. You have done countless productions at Irish Classical. I don't know if you know the number, but do you have a favorite one, and why is it your favorite?
Well, first of all, I counted over 125 productions that
Wow.
Typically for Irish Classical,
Incredible.
including this play, C Marks, 27 years ago.
Right.
But judged by plays that I appreciate, not necessarily because of my sound design, although I think the sound design is good. I said The Night Alive, Conor McPherson.
Oh yeah.
Authors, which we did recently. I was just overwhelmed by the level, the commitment of the actors to that difficult play, very Irish play, very dark but sweet and funny, but
yep.
dangerous,
Killing, yeah.
all together. And so I like that sort of the shows we've done, and Brian Delaney, like the Onion game that we've just done, in the can, and the Cobbler, and that sort of thing. Those are the most that I've enjoyed the most. The sound designs that I have done through the years, we've done a few that stand out more than others. I remember the Emperor Jones we did a long time ago. Eugene.
Yeah.
Oh, it was just the sounds, and there was live drumming and all the
oh yeah, it was arresting. I can still feel being in the Andrews for that production. Yeah.
So the sound was a big part of that particular.
It was.
So as far as that goes, as far as my end of it, that's one of the ones I really felt good about. There was a real collaboration.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm happy to hear that it kind of spans decades in between Emperor Jones and Night Alive. There's been 125 productions in between, and there's something from each one that really makes it unique and stand out. You've introduced me to a lot of different music just from being in shows that you sound design, so thank you for that. And I'm very happy to continue to work with you on C Marks and continue on shows into next season and into the future. So thank you so much for taking some time this evening to chat with us about the wonders and magic of sound design, and we look forward to hearing your design from C Marks. Thanks, Tom. And thanks everybody for tuning in this evening. And next week, we will catch up with our lovely cast members from C Marks, Chris Kelly and Kristen Tripp Kelly, to speak about their process, about acting, and about their relationship together on stage. They've worked together many times, and working together on the digital production of C Marks. So tune in next week at 7:30 on Friday. Same Irish time, same Irish channel. Thanks, everybody. Good night.